Trusting her sister, Grain left her basket of fish with Bran and went into the pond to wash her hair. While Grain was in the water, Bran took all of Grain's fish and ran home. When Grain got out of the pond, her basket was empty. She sat down and cried bitterly, until suddenly a fairy godfather appeared and asked, "Why are you crying?" Grain told him the whole story, and the fairy godfather asked her to check if there was anything left in the basket. Grain found only one small goby fish. The fairy godfather then said, "Don't cry. Take this goby home and raise it in the well. Feed it every day. When you feed it, call out, 'Goby, Goby, come eat the golden rice from my hand. Don't touch the stale porridge from another land.'" After saying that, the fairy godfather disappeared. Grain followed his advice and took the goby home to raise it in the well. Every day at mealtime, she would bring rice to the goby, eating one bowl herself and saving the other for the fish. Before long, the goby grew large and healthy. Noticing that Grain brought food to the well every day, the stepmother became suspicious and sent Bran to spy on her. Bran reported everything back to her mother. The next morning, the stepmother sent Grain to herd buffalo in a faraway field, sweetly advising her, "My dear, our village doesn't allow buffalo herding here. You must take the buffalo to a distant field, or the village might seize it." Obediently, Grain led the buffalo far away. Meanwhile, at home, Bran and her mother went to the well and called out just like Grain did every day. Hearing the familiar call, the goby fish rose to the surface, and the mother-daughter duo quickly caught it and cooked it for a meal. That afternoon, when Grain returned from the field, she brought food to the well, but did not see the goby rise. Instead, a patch of red appeared on the water. Grain sat down and cried bitterly until the fairy godfather appeared and asked, "Why are you crying?" Grain explained everything, and the fairy godfather said, "Your goby has been eaten, but don't cry anymore. Go home, collect its bones, put them into 4 jars, and bury them under the 4 corners of your bed." Grain followed the advice but searched everywhere for the bones without success. Suddenly, a chicken appeared, clucking, "Cluck, cluck, give me a handful of rice. I'll help you find the bones in a trice." Grain gave the chicken some rice, and it scratched the ashes in the kitchen, revealing the goby's bones. Grain gathered the bones, placed them in 4 jars, and buried them under the 4 corners of her bed. Not long after, the king held a grand festival. Everyone was eager to attend. Bran and her mother prepared early to go, and Grain asked if she could go with them. But the stepmother mixed a basket of rice with a basket of paddy and told Grain she could only go once she had separated them. Grain once again sat down and cried. The fairy godfather appeared again and asked, "Why are you crying this time?" Grain explained the situation, and the fairy godfather summoned a flock of sparrows to help her. In no time, the sparrows had separated the grains, but Grain still had no fine clothes to wear to the festival, so she cried once more. The fairy godfather appeared again. "What else?" Grain tearfully replied, "My clothes are in tatters. How can I go to the festival like this?" The fairy godfather sighed. "Dig up the 4 jars buried under your bed." Grain did as she was told. From the first jar, she found a radiant dress. From the second, a pair of beautiful embroidered shoes. From the third, a tiny horse that once placed on the ground transformed into a real horse. And from the fourth jar, she found a sturdy saddle. Overjoyed, Grain put on the clothes and set off for the capital. The horse galloped quickly, but along the way, as they crossed a stream, Grain accidentally dropped one of her shoes. When she arrived at the festival, Grain wrapped the remaining shoe in a cloth and mingled with the crowd. Meanwhile, the king's entourage passed by the spot where Grain had lost her shoe. The two royal elephants leading the procession refused to move forward, continuously bowing their heads. The king's soldiers searched the area and found the lost shoe. The king, intrigued by the shoe's beauty, mused, "Such a lovely shoe must belong to a beautiful woman." The king then declared that all the women attending the festival must try on the shoe, and whoever could wear it would become his queen. All the women eagerly lined up to try on the shoe, but none could make it fit. Even Bran and her mother attempted, but the shoe didn't fit them either. When it was Grain's turn, her stepmother sneered, "If the grandest ladies cannot fit the shoe, what hope does a mere girl have?" However, when Grain tried the shoe, it fit perfectly. She then pulled out the second shoe from her bag, and the pair was complete. The soldiers cheered, and the king was overjoyed, immediately ordering that Grain be brought to the palace to become his queen. Since that day, Bran and her mother became deeply resentful. On the anniversary of her father's death, Grain asked the king for permission to return home to honor the occasion. Seeing Grain return, Bran and her mother, filled with malice, devised a plot to kill her. The stepmother told Grain, "Today is your father's death anniversary. Climb the areca tree and pick some nuts to offer to him." Obediently, Grain climbed the tree. While she was up there, the stepmother cut the tree's trunk. Feeling the tree shake, Grain asked, "Auntie, what are you doing down there?" The stepmother replied, "There are too many ants at the base. I'm just clearing them away so they won't bite you." As the tree toppled, Grain fell into a pond and drowned. The stepmother took Grain's clothes and gave them to Bran, then went to the palace and lied to the king. Grain accidentally fell into a pond and drowned. Now Bran, as her sister, will take her place. The king was furious, but said nothing. After Grain's death, she transformed into a golden oriole and flew to the palace. One day, while Bran was washing the king's clothes, she heard a bird singing, "Wash my husband's clothes with care. Hang them high in the sunlight's glare. Don't leave them on the fence. Beware, or my husband's clothes will tear." Terrified, Bran told her mother. The golden oriole sang sweetly in the palace, and wherever the king went, the bird followed him. Seeing how attached the bird was to him, the king remarked, golden bird, is my wife hiding in your wings?" The bird flew onto the king's hand and tucked itself into his sleeve. From that day forward, the king devotedly cared for the bird, even making it a golden cage, and he took care of it every day. Bran grew jealous and consulted her mother, who advised her to catch the bird and eat it. Bran followed her mother's advice, cooked the bird, and buried its feathers in the garden. When the king discovered this, he was enraged. From the spot where the bird's feathers were buried, two towering rosewood trees soon grew. The king, admiring their shade, hung a hammock between them and rested beneath the trees. Bran, again taking advice from her mother, had the trees cut down and made into a loom. As Bran sat weaving, she suddenly heard the loom creaking. Creak, creak, tick-tock, you stole my husband's love. I'll gouge your eyes out. Mock. Frightened, Bran ordered the loom to be burned. From the ashes of the loom, a single fruit tree sprouted, bearing one round and ripe fruit. One day, an old woman passed by, sat under the tree and said, dear fruit, fall into my sack. I'll keep you close, won't take a snack." With that, the fruit fell into her bag. She brought it home and placed it on her pillow, only smelling it, but never eating it. Every day, when she returned from the market, the house was cleaned, and a meal was prepared. Suspicious, the old woman pretended to go to the market one day, but quickly turned back and peeked inside. To her astonishment, she saw a beautiful girl emerge from the fruit to tidy the house. The old woman rushed in, tore open the fruit skin, and lovingly embraced the girl, adopting her as her daughter. From then on, Grain lived with the old woman and helped her run a small tea shop. Grain skillfully prepared beetle leaves in the shape of phoenix wings, and soon the shop became very popular. One day, the king stopped at the shop, and upon seeing the expertly folded beetle leaves, he asked, "Granny, who folds the beetle leaves so beautifully?" The old woman truthfully replied, "My daughter folds them." The king requested to meet her, and when Grain came out, he was overjoyed to recognize her. He immediately brought her back to the palace. Upon returning, Grain told the king everything that had happened. Furious, the king ordered Bran and her mother to be brought to justice. However, Grain, full of compassion, pleaded for their lives, and the king spared them. Instead, he banished them from the palace. As they left the city, a sudden storm struck, and both Bran and her mother were killed by lightning in the fields. From then on, the king and Grain lived happily ever after.